Alright, welcome back everybody. We have a camera this time so you can see me crying and gagging on the grossness that's happening and getting angry. Okay, so I'm pretty sure the next fragment, we just got the Furude family thing. It's the way these fragments are connected are so strange because I feel like it would be like all the fragments related to Satoshi would be together, you know, and all the fragments relating to, but they seem like now I'm to Rika and we still have some Satoshi stuff going on and then Satoko stuff going on. Sorry, I'm trying to untangle my headphones while I'm doing this, while I'm speaking. But they're just like literally all over the place. Like you need a watermelon. But we did just get, the last one that we had was the conversation about Rika being the queen parasite, which sounds funny. And I apologize, I will not stop complaining about the fact it's a disease because it just doesn't make sense. If anyone is a doctor or a scientist, then please make it make sense. Maybe this. Yeah, because now Rika's helping, Rika agreed to helping them. When researching Hinamizawa syndrome, there is something very important that needs to be discussed first. It doesn't make any fucking sense. If something happens to the queen carrier, the village will collapse. In his article, my grandfather called it the most dangerous situation. According to my grandfather, if the queen carrier dies, all the infected persons will go terminal within 48 hours. How does that make... You know what? If you guys have ever seen King's Game, that's what this reminds me of. They describe it as a disease or like a parasite, but I'm just gonna think that it's like a supernatural parasite because that makes so much more sense to me than trying to be all scientific with it. I think it's just like, it's like King's Game. King's Game is like a supernatural parasite or whatever, so we're just gonna go with that. That'll make me feel so much better than them trying to like science-fy it. Anyways, well, I'll go terminal within 48 hours. This may sound unbelievable at first, but research on the collapse of past local religions and group suicides around the world should indicate that there's some truth to it. But usually group suicides are all consensual, I would think, but whatever. Among all the mysterious incidents around the world, there are some that were caused by parasites controlling entire communities. Yeah, right. Very similar to Hinamizawa syndrome. Grandfather picked a few cases that are very similar to the syndrome and investigated them. As a result, he confirmed multiple cases of entire communities losing their minds after the death of a religious leader or founder, and finally annihilating themselves. He stated that, on average, it happened within 48 hours. It's clear that infected people are affected by the queen carrier, and the condition of the queen carrier is, in fact, affecting the entire village. Our statistics already prove that on weeks Rika felt sick and visited the clinic, we saw an exceptionally high number of visitors. Yeah, we're just pretending it's supernatural. Rika being sick with a simple cold had a massive impact. If something particularly bad happened to her, we'd be facing a serious situation within 48 hours. That's why the Irie Institute has to protect Rika Furude, the queen carrier. It's the most important mission of the Hinamizawa Syndrome Research Project. She's already agreed to help us in our research, but we have to be very careful not to put her in any danger. Also, we have to protect her from anyone who would try to harm her. Her life is equal to the life of 2,000 villagers. But what if something happens to her by accident? The Irie Institute must prepare for that situation. That's why... emergency manual! That's why I worked on the draft of an emergency manual when the Irie Institute was first established. It's a precaution in case the queen carrier dies, or if infected people show acute symptoms due to the death of the queen carrier. This is an emergency procedure which must be followed within 48 hours of mass occurrence of the acute symptoms. But it's not going to spread to nearby areas because you guys said before that it's only been in Hinamizawa. The final measure is to prevent the damage from spreading to nearby areas. It doesn't make any sense because you guys are literally contradicting yourself. You said that it only is in Hinamizawa and it doesn't spread. We have... It was so good. And now I'm just angry because they just tried to make... It feels like they just tried to make it complicated and it doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, you literally said that it's confined to the Hinamizawa area. And people have left and it hasn't spread. So clearly, killing all these people doesn't make any sense because it doesn't spread, because it's only in the Hinamizawa area. The plan uses gas, making it look like a natural disaster. My client, the Alphabet Project, took the responsibility of working out the details of the plan. They're used to dealing with things like nuclear and biological weapons, so they ended up being such a big help. There's no way I could have come up with a plan on my own to execute 2,000 villagers. Through a dummy company, the ground SDF has secured a closed quarry in the Higurashi region upstream of Hinamizawa. It's to be the secret storage base for the equipment we'd use in that operation. Equipment that sprays deadly gas that kills people as if they were falling asleep is stored here. In the case of emergency, a special ground unit of the ground SDF is to use this equipment to destroy the village. The other thing that I'm getting from these fragments is that these kids have no fucking chance. And it makes sense as to why Rika has looped this many times. They're literally up against like assassins and government, so the only way they can pull this off is anime. Yeah. Okay. However, preparing for the execution of villagers itself is politically dangerous. So, if I'm going to insist on them getting the equipment ready, I have to make them understand how dangerous Hinamizawa syndrome is, and also how urgent the need is to have a contingency plan. But it doesn't spread! I have to prove the need for the plan by showing them enough data. So the files my grandfather kept intact came in quite handy. When the clients read my grandfather's article about the syndrome, they were surprised to see how catastrophic things could be in the worst-case scenario. In other words, if something happens to this girl, the Queen Carrier, all 2,000 villagers will become deranged. Is that what you're saying? Yes. There have been several cases similar to Hinamizawa syndrome where group suicides took place. In the case of the syndrome, we can easily expect extreme defensive behavior which results from deep paranoia. The result may affect all 2,000 plus carriers. From there on, we may face abnormal situations involving lawless violence and bizarre religious despondence. We must be ready to face such a situation by having a contingency plan, otherwise we'll draw attention from the rest of the world. We have to remember that we have only 48 hours to respond once it happens. Are you saying that if it happens, there's nothing anyone can do? Can't you treat everyone within 48 hours? That'll be impossible. We don't have a cure, and the research center isn't capable of taking in all the villagers. How frightening to realize that the disease actually exists. The world is full of mysteries. Constant vigilance against a worst-case scenario supports our national defense, and is one of the ideas behind the Alphabet Project. What a stupid name. Besides, our goal is not to use the plan, but it's vital to be prepared. Indeed. Precisely as you say. I'd still like to look into strengthening the rules of approval authority behind applying the plan. But I understand the necessity to prepare a response for a worst-case scenario. I just thought of something. So all of you might be going, okay, now we should take it a little easy on the Sonozakis because it's not their fault. But might I remind you that there is literally a scene where they rip, was it Shiho's fingernails out one by one? Do you remember that scene? Yeah, that happened. And that happened in one of the time loops. So, or that happened because of the Satoshi thing, I think. So yeah. Hinamizawa is still fucked up. It doesn't even matter that these people came in and made it even more fucked up. They're still fucked up. Or the Sonozakis in particular. But I understand that necessary to prepare for a response for a worst-case scenario. Let's have the urban suppression research team run a simulation of the Hinamizawa suppression operation in the region. That's a shard. I think we should get it going as soon as possible. It's possible that the Queen Carrier Girl may be hit by a car and killed at any moment. Thank you, Major Takano. We have further questions, so can you sit down? Thanks to a push from one of my backers, things were decided without too much of a problem. It took me almost all day to explain it to them, but it only took a short time to come to a decision. Nobody criticized, ridiculed, or tried to reject my grandfather's articles out of hand. In the files they're all reading today are the very same shameful articles those haughty authorities left their footprints on as they trampled them on my grandfather's heart. But they aren't ridiculing the articles. They are reading what was once rejected. It's nothing big at a glance, but in this moment, my grandfather's research is being recognized for the first time. My heart is filled with satisfaction to see people discussing amongst each other while pointing to my grandfather's files and raising them as proof. I've worked so hard for this day. Grandpa in hell. Can you see this? Actually, maybe he's not in hell. He's not the one that, well, he might be in hell. Alright, so we've got two things. We got the suppression plan. We can do this one, so let's do this one. Fude, thank you for waiting. We just finished the last test. She'll be back soon. I hope she's able to help. Of course. Rika-san will help the whole village. I think we'll be able to come up with a treatment soon. We're still looking into the structure, but we're finding out how important Rika-san is to the villagers. People with more serious conditions can't stabilize themselves. But we found out if they get too close to the Queen Carrier, they generate some kind of substance in their brain. This substance has a calming effect, and it seems to have the power to bring their symptoms down. If we can produce this substance, it'll end up making for a powerful treatment. I see. Rika has that kind of power. You shouldn't be surprised. People say that maidens of the Furude Shrine have the psychic power to calm both souls and demons, don't they? Even before we discovered it, it was already recorded in the history of the last few hundred years. That's true. I'm impressed with how wise people were back then. Meep. The tests are all done. Rika, good work. You must be getting tired. Why don't you go take this and go get something to drink? Meep. They took a lot of my blood, so I need to replenish. Rika took the 100 yen coin that was offered to her and ran out into the hallway. I appreciate Rika's help. If she hadn't offered her assistance, our research wouldn't have progressed this far. Rika's very concerned about her friend with the syndrome. She said she wants to help because of her. I love how it's not because of, the 2,000 people. Just Satoko. Doctor, please take Rika's feelings into account. Of course. We're taking up her precious time every Sunday, so we'll make sure to get to the bottom of this. We may have to put her through some rather rough experiments, but I hope you'll understand. We'll never harm her in any way, though. Yeah, right, bitch. She's such an important person. She's the reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama, after all. I wonder how people back then found out about this syndrome, and how they knew the Furude family were descendants of the queen. I'm truly impressed. By the way, there's something I have to ask you. What the I would like to ask you for permission to collect her cerebrospinal fluid. What the fuck is wrong with you people? You're just casually asking if you can drill a hole in his daughter's skull. Also, there's a chance we'll have to drill a hole in her skull to examine the inside of her head. A hole in her skull? Of course we'll take every precaution. Rika's the one and only queen carrier. We'll make sure she's safe. Her safety is our priority. Of course, since Rika's a girl, we won't shave her entire head. However, we'll have to ask her to stay at the clinic a little longer so we can keep our eyes on her. She can still receive visitors, of course. You're more than welcome to attend the examination. I'm sure she'll be more relaxed to have someone she knows nearby. Do you really need to perform this examination? Is it really safe? You guys literally just said if anything happens to the queen carrier, the whole town will go insane. And now you're gonna drill a hole in her skull without her absolute safety? What is fucking wrong with you? You're so stupid. I mean, Takano, that's what she wants, but you know. I can't absolutely guarantee her safety for either collecting cerebrospinal fluid or for drilling a hole in her skull. Yeah! There's always the off chance that something might go wrong. Also, Rika may suffer some physical and emotional discomfort. Even if it's this important, we can't perform it without the parents' consent. Actually, I've already talked to Rika about it. What did she say? She said it's fine. I've explained to her the possibility of danger. I don't understand you guys. You guys are the dumbest smart people I've ever met. But we still need your consent. Sometimes Rika truly believes that she's the reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama. So maybe she feels obligated to sacrifice herself for the villagers. What an impressive child. Could you please let me talk to my wife? Yeah, let's go. Hey, honey, doctors want to drill a hole into our daughter's head. What do you think about that? She understands the situation, but I still need to explain it to her. Oh, wrong voice. Sure, of course. Please talk it over with her. So, this examination is an extremely important step in the process of stamping out the syndrome, right? Yes. It will solve the mysteries of Hinamizawa syndrome for sure. Yeah, you said that about dissecting a live person. At least it'll be the first step. You know what? At least you're being honest, maybe. Yo, but then why would you put her in danger? You guys are so stupid. And that would completely halt your research. As I already explained, if something happens to the queen carrier, the whole community here may be in danger. In other words, it's possible the whole village could end up with terminal symptoms. That's right. According to the studies, within 48 hours of the death of the queen carrier, everyone with the disease will become dangerously sick. We must prevent that from happening no matter what. If something that happens to Rika, the whole village will go insane? Yes. It's our job to prevent that. So you want to drill a hole into her skull. You took the words right out of my mouth. It might seem ironic that we had to put your daughter in danger, but it's the only way to stamp out the syndrome. Dr. Irie, I hope you'll succeed in that examination. As I said, there are no guarantees in medicine. Sure. Irie answered with a nod, interrupting Takano's vague response. I mean, here's the thing from the dad's perspective. This syndrome is not like going crazy, and he said himself that it's slowly dying out because of time passing. So why put 2,000 people in danger for something that is slowly curing itself anyway? I will succeed. I'll save Rika. And also, if you just told everybody about the disease in the first place, then people would know not to, like, leave, like, move away or whatever. Although that kind of sucks. That would super suck, but you know what I mean. I promise. See, Irie actually seems like he wants to do good, even though he's, like, dissecting, why am I having problems with that word? Live people, and possibly Satoko. Takano's just a straight up psychotic bitch. Okay, I'll talk to my wife. I'll let you know our decision. Yes. She's not gonna like it. She doesn't trust them to begin with. Thank you. I'm trying to remember, was Satoko's parents before Rika's parents? Or was it the opposite? I can't remember which one was third and which one was fourth. After Rika and her father left, Takano started to laugh. What is it? What's so funny? Oh, nothing. I just thought it was amusing to get permission from both the patient and her parents beforehand. Rika-chan is going through something she doesn't have to. I thought as a courtesy, I would have gotten consent from the man last year, had he been in a normal condition. Are you being tormented with guilt ever since you started your research here? What do you mean? This type of teasing was normal for Takano, but maybe she had gone a little too far. Irie made it clear how displeased he was to hear that. You can only research Hinamizawa syndrome by using living beings. You feel guilty continuing your work because of that. Those guilty feelings are a necessity. Whether it's murder or dissection, the fact that you're taking someone's life is the same. We have to accept them, and at the same time devote ourselves to our research. That's an extremely impressive theory you have there. Then, Dr. Irie, how many times have you gotten consent before you cut into people's brains? Irie didn't think Takano knew about that. How many brains have you cut open without consent? Using your selfish theory that people commit crimes due to mental disorders as your excuse. That is... Common sense changes with time. Back then, doctors didn't need to explain anything or get consent beforehand. So I don't think you have to be concerned about the past. It'd be a problem now, but it was okay back then. So that's fine. But you feel guilty, and that's why you want to get consent from Rika beforehand, and why you wanted to get it from him. Baby, I can't see. I can't see! That's not true. In the first place, the treatment and dissection are... Listen, boy. What you want is a stamp of forgiveness known as prior consent. Right? Baby, I can't see with your butt in the way. Some deception to fill your heart so you can atone for your past sins. If you regretted what you've done, then you'd never get involved with brains again. Yet you're dragging regrets behind you as you continue to deal with brains, guilty all the while. There's a perfect song for this moment from Young Frankenstein. The brain, there is nothing like the brain. I don't know the lyrics because it is all about the brain. Young Frankenstein, everybody. If you truly acknowledged your actions as a sin, then you would have refused to accept the appointment as director. Isn't that right, boy? I don't need to listen to this. Excuse me. You must listen. The field of medicine is constantly won in battles against that era's ethics and social values. When Dr. Takano discovered the existence of the syndrome, baby, stop getting in the way. The people in power at that time just disregarded their own ignorance and scoffed at his foresight. But he didn't stop researching until he collapsed. He believed that someday he'd be acknowledged. Even if it was after he died, he still believed in it. He could only do that because of how strong his conviction was. If it wasn't for that, he would have given up. A strong will is what keeps research going. Only the most determined can achieve a result. But you don't have that. You're a coward who still can't decide if he should be proud or ashamed of his achievements. Nami, will you get out of here? How could you accept the position of director with such half-hearted determination? You knew from the beginning that this research could be brought to fruition without adding further blood to your already stained hands. I don't know what to say. Maybe I am half-hearted. Then why don't you resign? You'll still have the obligation to keep things secret, but at least you won't have to feel guilty anymore. You may be my partner, but you're also simply a person who was requested by my client. Now that this research institute is fully developed, you aren't needed. If you don't even have the necessary determination to do research to begin with, you are an especially useless partner. I'll never quit researching. I'm not afraid of guilt or regret. My conviction is what will take me to the future. Just like Dr. Takano succeeded, he didn't. I'll succeed alone. That's impressive. However, my determination may not come close to yours. I too have a will, and that's why I'm here. As you said, I already have blood on my hands. After I arrived in Hinamizawa, they got even bloodier. So I can't just run from my responsibilities. Nami's like going for my water and also going for the pens over there, so it's like I gotta keep like moving this stuff, and she's just starting all over the place. Aren't you? I'll probably continue to be tormented by my unatoned sins, but I won't run. I'll get to the bottom of Hinamizawa syndrome. That's the least I can do for all the people who gave their lives for this research, and also for those who will give their lives from now on. Irie wore a determined look on his face. He appeared different from even a moment before when he was baffled by Takano having brought up these painful memories. For a short while, Irie's eyes displayed his strong will, and then he turned around. We'll probably get consent for Rika-chan's examination, so please stop preparing for it. Yes, I understand. Director. Really? They got their consent the following week. Wow. Really? Well, clearly everybody didn't die. Cerebral spinal fluid. The lights came on in the meeting room as the slideshow ended, and all the auditors began to applaud, praising the EDA's institution's dramatic accomplishments. Wonderful! Absolutely wonderful! To be honest with you, I wasn't expecting too much from this Hinamizawa syndrome research. I figured that even if there was progress, it would be 3 steps forward and 2 steps back every decade. Oh my! How impressive it is to achieve so much in such a short period of time. This is all thanks to you, Dr. Irie. Oh no. This is all because of the staff that supported me, and Takano too. Don't be so humble. Director Irie is a genius in the field of neurology. After all, he's also produced greater achievements than any other doctor when it comes to the brain. That's true! Not many doctors as young as you have nearly as much experience operating on brains. Brains. Congratulations, Lieutenant Colonel Irie. Now, can I go back to Tokyo with my head held high? I'm honored we gave you something good to take back with you, Tomitake-san. By the way, could you please stop calling me Lieutenant Colonel? I just can't get used to it. I almost prefer Risa-san at this point. I bet you do, huh? You sure were a huge help. You're the one who secured funding for our research, even when we couldn't produce feasible results. We couldn't have done this without you. It wasn't any trouble. But really, the results you've presented today are just brilliant. Not only have you found the cause of the syndrome, you've also provided a clear path towards future research. We're looking forward to hearing more progress when we come again next time. I'm sure the Tokyo office will quit bothering us about cutting your budget with these sorts of results. After all, we nearly lost our budget for the canned coffee we've provided to you all, didn't we? Tomitake, make sure you report our progress to Tokyo well enough that they give us enough money to hold a party. We've been getting nothing but the stick. It's time for the carrot. We'll be happiest if that carrot comes back in the shape of funding. And with that congenial atmosphere, our routine audit was over. Irie was surrounded and being questioned by National Institute of Infectious Disease workers who had joined the auditors. Takano-san, congratulations! I can't really say this out loud, but all the progress I've seen tonight is thanks to your hard work. Thank you, Judo-san. Judo and I are the only ones here who know the strings were pulled in order to create the Irie Institute. So only Judo can understand what I had to go through. But I've only just risen to the stage for my research. My opponent and I are finally in the same arena, that's all. The critical fight comes after this, and it should be getting even more exciting in the future. By the way, Manager Nakagawa told me to tell you that he wants to hold a presentation in Tokyo. Even the Alphabet Board wants you to come to meet with them. I guess they all want to hear this directly from you. Oh my, isn't having you explained enough? I don't think that's what they mean. I bet they want to meet such a pretty researcher in person, maybe. My, aren't you being silly, Judo? Excuse me. Major Totano, there's a phone call for Tokyo. Thank you for holding. This is Takano. Hey, how are you doing? Koizumi-sensei. Thank you for taking the time to call me. Wow. You know, I heard you made a significant breakthrough, Mio-chan. So I had to call to congratulate you. Thank you very much. Your support, we've been able to accomplish the first step of identifying the microbe that causes Hinamizawa syndrome. I see. Great job, Mio-chan. I'm sure Takano-kun is very happy in hell right now. Notice how I changed? You noticed? That's a little too early to say. My grandfather was attempting to go beyond merely identifying the cause of the syndrome. His work was about showing the possibility of human thoughts actually being controlled by parasitic agents in our bodies. Only when that is proven will his research be recognized for the great achievement it is. When we're able to explain all thoughts and religions with parasites, the world is going to be tossed into chaos! How interesting. I can just imagine how those religious big shots will react when they find out their leaders are parasites! How interesting. I would love to see that. I won't die until you show that to me, Mio-chan. Please don't say that. Do look forward to it, though. I'll make sure that this research will spread shock throughout the world. Then the whole world will finally realize how great my grandfather was, and they'll be fighting each other to read over the documents he left behind. Yeah, whatever. Only then can I say I've repaid my debt to him. I'm a little envious of Takano-kun. I don't want money, you know. I don't mind getting rid of half of what I have. I just wish I had a grandchild who would carry on my legacy. Thank you so much. Those words mean so much to me. By the way, I sent you a present. It's a nice bottle of wine. Wine! I didn't know your address, so I sent it to the clinic. However, they told me they're having a difficult time importing it, so it may take a while. But when it comes, please have a party with the people who helped you. Celebratory wine? Well then, I wonder what expensive sort of drink Koizumi-sensei will be sending us. He said wine. Oh, it's not that kind of expensive. Don't you remember Mio-chan? Takano used to keep a particular bottle of wine. I remember. That's right. My grandfather kept a certain bottle of wine. I don't know if he bought it himself or if someone gave it to him. But he treasured it, and he always said he'd open it when his research finally gained recognition. I was a child then, so I don't even remember what the brand was. No, not me! But Mr. Koizumi would know. He went through all the trouble to find the same bottle of wine for this special occasion. For the first time in a while, Takano felt the same sunny warmth she experienced during her time with her grandfather. Thank you very much, Uncle Koizumi. I like it when you call me that, Mio-chan. I don't feel like you're speaking to me when you say Koizumi-sensei. I can't help but smile along with him. Because I think Tomitake and Ide were just having a similar exchange. If you like it that way, then I'll be happy to call you that when there's nobody around. I'd be happy if you called me that even in front of people. I don't know exactly how old he is, but if he can laugh so energetically, he'll live for many more years to come. I guess the saying about living a long life is true after all. Takano-kun and I both wished you were truly part of our family. We really did. My grandfather had his own family, of course. But because he was so into his research, he became estranged from his wife. They were legally married, but they lived separately. I never met his family when I was a child. I only met them after my grandfather committed suicide. During his latter years, my grandfather went into psychological despair and began to look at his life with cynicism. His condition became worse over time, and he was shocked at his own dementia. He was afraid of living while his consciousness degraded. So he jumped off the roof of the hospital. Only my name was in his suicide note. None of his family members' names were in it. That's when all his relatives showed up and took everything my grandfather left behind. They were afraid I was going to get his estate. They had lawyers and all that, so I backed down. I asked for everything in his study in return. Those idiots don't understand the value of my grandfather's research. They were actually happy to strike a deal out of court, and they could also get rid of piles of papers and jars with human organs in them. They never even showed up once when he was alive, yet like hyenas they appeared after his death. I'd never let them put their hands all over my grandfather's research. Fortunately, I was able to protect my grandfather's soul from their tainted hands. Okay, I'll get going here. If there's anything you need, be sure to call Uncle Koizumi, okay? I'll do anything for my granddaughter. Thank you, Uncle Koizumi. I'll work even harder. You didn't care about that one. I don't think I've ever hated a villain in any sort of fictional piece more than I hate Takano, and I'm actually serious about that. Like, I rarely hate villains because they're just like, you know, supposed to be there and they're villains and the story needs a villain. But I have a very giant hatred towards Takano. The gathering place inside of the Furude Shrine is in fact the headquarters of the Onigafuchi Guardians. Normally, a shrine should be a calm and quiet place, but there are anti-dam signs everywhere, making it very obvious what this location has become. See, this is my problem with the Fragments things. It's jumping all over the place, like in the timeline, and it's confusing me. So now we're back to the dam. And I don't know where these meetings are. There are over 30 members of the Guardians here at the moment, and they're having a heated conversation about their plans for the future. Although this meeting is on the Furude family's property, it's a community facility, so it closes at 9 p.m. Of course, sometimes a discussion gets so heated that it goes on past closing time, but meetings are supposed to end by 9. If a discussion ends early, the usual chit-chat until that time. That's what usually happens. Of course, they mostly talk about the dam, even when they chit-chat. They always talk about someone's mistreatment at the government office, or someone getting arrested unjustly, or complain that people at the dam construction site are too violent. Since it's idle chatter, the topics are slightly emotional. Ugh. And because of that, there was a good deal of bad-mouthing the Hojos. Then she threw the circulation notes away. Can you believe that? That woman is crazy. Just the other day, she got into a huge argument with Makino's grandmother at the trash pickup. You know, the husband is rude too. He's so irrational. Did you see him at the explanatory meeting? That was bad, huh? I can't believe they're still here. I wish they'd just leave. He said something about money. He has absolutely no shame. No. If you talk about being irrational, his wife is the same or even worse. It must be hereditary. I see their daughter shopping quite often, so I used to say hello to her, but she never replied. Can you believe that? So I got tired of it, and I don't say anything to her anymore. Their son always looks so depressed, doesn't he? By now, the Hojo family has become the enemy of the whole village. Why the fuck did they not move? Bad-mouthing the Hojo family was the greatest shared topic that anyone could easily contribute to. If he had known how powerful the three families were, especially the Sonozaki family, and if he had known Oryo-san's character, he wouldn't have said the things he did. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, oh, Takano comes in and she's a bitch and kills everybody. You know what? This village is fucked up before that happened. They kidnapped somebody. They ostracized a family. They ripped people's nails out. The Hojo couple are residents here. Though they were never very enthusiastic about council activities, they should have known what kind of person Oryo-san is. They're bullies. They're bullies. You don't do what they want, they fuck you up. He could have imagined just what would have happened if he talked to her that way. Yet he let his anger take over and voiced his unpleasant feelings. So most people think the Hojo family brought their isolation upon themselves. If they wanted to negotiate with the government regarding the move, they should have done so privately. Yet he was foolish enough to express himself at a public gathering. So not too many sympathize with the Hojo family. Ever since the big fight at the meeting, the Sonozaki family has looked at the Hojo family as their enemy and started to go after them. That caused the other pro-dam families to go quiet, fearing they'd be made into scapegoats too, and those who wanted to leave were bitterly forced to give up. I would not want to live in a village like this. Ever. Even those people started criticizing the Hojo couple, saying they could have gotten their compensation to leave if the two hadn't picked the reckless fight. Both the anti-dam and pro-dam people hate the Hojos now, and the family has become even more isolated. Moreover, the Hojos are both very aggressive. They should have stayed quiet at least until things settled down, but they didn't. I wouldn't. They alienated the handful of people who took pity on them as well. So now, nobody even says anything to them. If I were the pro-dam people... Wait, no. Yeah. Wait. The ones that want the money. I would, get on their side and fight back. All that was immediately obvious by listening to the foul talk here and there at the gathering place. Rika always helps out by putting the teacups away, so I'm sure she hears what they say as well. One of the Hojo family members they're bad-mouthing is Rika's friend, Satoko. It hurts to think about what Rika feels while hearing that. I don't understand why Rika, as the reincarnation of Oyashiro-sama that everybody worships, if she said, stop treating my friend like that, do you really think that anybody could stand against her? No. So why doesn't she do it? Oh. As a priest of the Furude Shrine, should I let this continue? Oyashiro-sama is a god who makes peace between enemies. When the humans and demons fought, Oyashiro-sama descended from heaven and mediated between both sides. Now I see how he got himself on the hit list. Without even... But see, here's the difference. If Rika said something, that's different. They can't do anything against Rika, and they won't do anything against Rika. As the caretaker of the shrine, I must do something before it goes too far. I'm sitting next to Oyuro-san, who is spitefully disparaging the Hojo family. So that ass was talking shit to me. Who the hell cares? He'll be cursed by Oyashiro-sama, that's for sure. The elderly people cheer her on as they listen to her speak. If I barge in now, I have a feeling it won't be a peaceful conversation. But I have to make up my mind. As the priest of the Furude Shrine, also for the sake of Rika's friend Satoko. Oh, Rika's parents were good parents, except for letting her get a hole drilled in her brain, but you know. Oryo-san, don't you think you've said enough by now? Huh? What the hell are you trying to tell me? Well, I'm sure Hojo really didn't mean what he said. Isn't it a bit much for this kind of treatment to go on for so long? Shut up! You heard what he said, didn't you? Weren't you pissed? He pissed me off. Shit! Oryo-san is the head of the Sonozaki family, the heir to the demons. She never forgives anyone who stands against her. So there's no way she would even listen to what I'm trying to say. Oryo-san and the others became furious and refused to listen to me. Once again, why doesn't Rika say anything? She even asked me what they could do. This is what she could do. She could stand up and say, stop fucking dissing my friend, or I will curse all of you. And they'd probably believe her. I also mentioned that the dam construction plan will be cancelled soon, so they should calm down already. I said that because the staff at the Irie clinic told me the government is putting some kind of pressure on the Ministry of Construction. But thinking that I'm being an opportunist, soon criticism of me began to circulate the room. After that, I realized that I've become branded as a fence-sitter. If the demons are willing to listen, then there's a chance to make peace. But how can I make peace with people who refuse to listen? I destroyed their mood, so I just have to give up and shut my mouth. Then I felt a little hand on my back. Rika, it's getting late. Why don't you go home? No matter how hard we try, we can't reach them. Have you tried? Rika looked into the distance while she spoke. You know, I'm good with bad-mouthing everybody in this game, except for Rika and Keiji, pretty much. But this is one moment that I am gonna badmouth Rika, because has she stood up in front of everyone and said, stop dissing the Hojos? Has she said that? She's like literally the only person in this entire village that they can't, or won't, I should say, go against. Rika looked into the distance while she spoke. The evil of this corrupted village is probably beyond the means of those of us living in that muck. But I won't lose hope. Surely, someone who will destroy this stagnation will arrive. Very soon, I know. Her eyes shone as if seeing a future that only the maiden at the Furude Shrine could see. Has she tried? I don't know. Like, she says that she tried, but we haven't seen her try. Has she gone in the middle of the meeting hall and say, "Shut up! I am Oyashiro-sama's descendant, and I will curse all of you if you say one more bad thing about my friend"? Has she done that? I don't think so. So I'm just saying. She can go blaming all things and waiting for Keiji to come. Plans for... Oh my god. Not back to this. Plans for Satoko-chan's dissection are moving right along. I don't want Satoshi-kun to be sad. I feel pity for Satoko in her harsh circumstances. I'm still struggling with how much I have to sacrifice for the sake of research. Irie? Huh? Oh, sorry. What is it, Rika? One of my friends has been in the clinic for a long time. Do you think she has Hinamizawa syndrome? Who told you that? No one. I just thought about it. So what do you think, Irie? You gonna lie to her face? Probably already knows. She is a god. Does Satoko have Hinamizawa syndrome? Rika-chan is on our side. There's nothing I have to hide from her. Actually, I probably shouldn't keep anything from her. Good. Yes. The problems with their parents and their sudden deaths. It was all too much for her to bear. Maybe that was what triggered it. What did the test results say? L5. She seems perfectly fine on the surface, but her emotions are extremely unstable. Since the other day, she's even been refusing to meet with Satoshi. Satoshi told me. He's worried that it's taking a very long time for Satoko to get better. Irie, what will happen to Satoko? Satoko-chan is Rika's best friend. How can I tell her that we're planning to dissect Satoko? However, even if I don't say anything, she already knows that Satoko's situation is extremely poor. Didn't you find out a lot of things when you examined me? Sure, of course. We're even testing medicine which might be able to control the symptoms. Can't you give that medicine to Satoko? I thought about it, but it's too dangerous. We're still in the trial stages and trying to gather more data. We can't use it on someone who's in a delicate situation like Satoko. Then, if you won't try that medicine, what will happen to Satoko? Of course she's aware! She's like all-knowing. She knows everything. Don't be... That little girl knows. She spoke as if aware for the plans of Satoko. No, she must actually know. I've told her about most of my research. She's more mature than she looks, so it'd be easy for her to figure it out. If there's even a 1% chance of Satoko getting better, then I think we should take that chance. It's extremely risky. Worst case, she could immediately display terminal symptoms and hallucinate, or potentially lose her consciousness and spend the rest of her life just staring blankly at a wall. Either one would be too cruel fate for her. So are you saying it's better to have her die in her sleep? Irie, just like Takano says, there are no guarantees in medicine. But if we don't do anything, Satoko will die for sure. I think it's clear what we should do. That's true. You're right. But I know too well. Ah, there's the C103. The medicine that's being tested may not even be something that can be used. It may not even have a 1% chance of success. Worse, I can't imagine what kind of tragic end she'd meet if her body rejects the medicine. That's why I'm tempted to believe it would be far more merciful to feed her her favorite food. Let her gently fall asleep, and after that, dissect her while she dreams. Yeah, but you said you had that other guy alive for a fucking month. I don't want to admit it, but Takano's right. I'm being indecisive and showing a lack of resolve. How effective could the medicine be made by someone like that be? So because it was medicine I created myself, I couldn't even believe there might be a 0.1% chance of success. I think we can believe in it. She spoke as if she read my mind. Surprised, I raised my head up to look at her, and found her giving me a reassuring look I never would have imagined someone her age capable of. People's lives depend on your job. It's almost absurd that a human being can control life and death like that. I can't imagine the pressure. She's probably like very, very old, considering how many loops she's lived through. Because remember how it starts off very big and then it got smaller and smaller and smaller? So she's lived through lots of like year-long loops. At least since the dam, or since Aksa came. Which was the dam, around the time of the dam. Granted, I don't know how much time has been. I think it's been 5 years? I don't know, I'm bad with timelines. But if we think the dam construction worker was the first one. The second one was Satoko. The third one was Rika, I think. One of them was Satoshi. Satoshi was the latest one. So yeah, so she's been doing like a 5-year loop. And then it'd probably go down to 4-year, 3-year, 2-year, 1-year, month, right? So she's probably pretty old. Her voice hasn't changed, but I feel like Rika's admonishing me. Almost as if she knows what it's like to be responsible for human lives. Guilt and regret are a part of that. That's why you can't use the medicine on Satoko. Isn't that right? Takano said the same thing when she criticized me earlier. I'm being criticized again. But that's why I can trust you with Satoko. What? Human lives are precious. You understand that very well. And that's why you do what you do. Without knowing that, how could you heal people? I love that look on her face. Oh my god. Do you think I trust medicine created by Takano, who thinks humans are just her guinea pigs? I just had another thought. If Rika knows what kind of human being Takano is, why has she not suspected her from the beginning? I shouldn't have laughed, but I couldn't help it. I felt like I should laugh. If both you and Takano each produce different medicine, I think yours would be the one to cure her. Because your medicine came from your heart. Your will to heal people is what cures them. You're absolutely right. I can't believe you're admonishing me about medicine. I let you use my body for Satoko. Everything you took out of me is for her. I love how much she doesn't care about the other people. I'm kidding. Everything, if you created that medicine with the knowledge of how precious human lives are, then of course it'll work on Satoko. Do shrine maidens take confessions? If they do, she's doing a great job being a shrine maiden at this age. This will be a gamble. The question is whether Satoko will accept it. We don't need to tell her. Learning of the Hinamizawa syndrome will only dredge up a deep scar on her heart again. What did she mean by those words? When I realized it later, I was surprised by how thoughtful and perceptive she was. Let's stop the plans for dissection. We're going to give Satoko seed 103. I'll do my best to increase the chance even by 1%. Don't worry, Irie. It'll work. Oh my god. Does that mean that Rika has lived through a time where her best friend got dissected on a lab table? Oh god, I don't know why. It's just like getting me more emotional than usual because like, god, it's just so fucked up. You shouldn't be so optimistic. I know it'll work. It's already decided. Oh my god. She has, hasn't she? She's already seen this happen. Which means, if my assumption is right, she has seen her best friend get ripped open. Oh my god. God, poor fucking Rika. Rika, you are a fucking boss. You are the boss of this story. Not KG or anybody else. You are the boss of this fucking story. You and... That's a very reassuring prophecy from the Furude Shrine Maiden. Go for it. Yay! I mean, like, this is a this is a graphic novel, but I mean, it's a very, very graphic novel. So do we have this one? Yay, now we're just like going right along. I love it. C103's implementation on Satoko is going well so far. It wouldn't make any difference to me if the experiment failed. However, Irie's extraordinary focus and attention to the experiment has avoided Satoko Hojo hallucinating or turning into a vegetable. And surprisingly, we see the prospects of her returning to normal life despite reaching the L5. C103 still has many issues, but this experiment proved that even a person who has reached L5 can be cured. I didn't believe in it at first, but I guess I have to acknowledge Irie's hard work. Only Irie could have done this. He was tormented by naive humanism and didn't want to make mistakes, and that is why he felt obligated to cure Satoko. The reason why I dislike Irie isn't because of his achievement or abilities, but because of that weakness. But this time, I had to praise him for it. I saw your report. I must tip my hat to you. No. I only did my job as a researcher. If that means fulfilling my duty as a doctor as well, nothing could please me more. It's hardly an exaggeration to say that Satoko is now our most valuable specimen. God damn it, what a fucking... I literally am sitting here trying to think of villains and things, and I have never hated a villain more than Takano. Oh my god. I hate Takano more than Voldemort! Because Voldemort is... I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's just... I'm trying to think... I hate him more than Voldemort. I hate her more than the Sith Emperor. Although he's pretty stupid as well. But not as bad. Like, I hate her more than Jigsaw. Trying to think. Give me more names in the comments. Tell me who you hate Takano more than. It's the pure fact that she gets pleasure out of it. It's like the people in Hostel, if you've seen that movie. Except I think I hate her more because the game gave us her fucking backstory and like wants us to understand her motivations, but it just made me be like, good, she got fucked up as a little girl. She deserves it because she's a mass fucking murderer who thinks people are her little guinea pigs and a specimen. And she ripped open a little girl while she was still alive and ripped out her intestines. Come on now. And then laughed about it and called her, God. After all, she's the first human to reach L5 and live. And I even hate my voice for her. I hate my snotty little voice that I give her. Oh my god, I hope this is entertaining for you. We're gonna take a water break. That's true. We'll let her go back to her life and keep our eyes on her. I'm going to tell her to come here every Sunday for a checkup. But how are you going to explain that she has to give herself a C103 shot 3 times a day, and also that she has to come here every Sunday? She has no subjective symptoms. I'm still trying to come up with a good excuse. I think I'll tell her that I want her to help me with my research. She has to give herself shots daily and come here every Sunday for a checkup. I'll pay her for helping me or something like that. I guess Irie is determined to cure Satoko no matter what. He seems determined to keep her off the dissection table. Yura and I are in different positions, but I don't have any complaints about his naive ideals so long as they translate directly into passion for our research. If his plans can be put into effect and produce a different result than the dissection would, then they'll still be useful to the overall understanding of the syndrome. I have nothing against Satoko. It's only that I see her as a research specimen. If she can be useful in that capacity without being dissected, that's perfectly fine with me. Oh god, good luck getting permission from her guardian for anything. We have to get permission from her guardian to give her shots 3 times a day. After her parents died, her aunt and uncle had been taking care of her, right? Maybe I'll go talk to them. I hope they agree to her involvement in such suspicious research. Oh, don't worry. I'm sure they'll be happy to, once they realize they receive 100,000 to 200,000 yen every month for it. Do we have enough money? Sure, as long as we can produce documents that'll convince Jiro-san. Okay then, I'll work on that. Also, we need to take action to prevent stressing Satoko. We don't want her to return to L5. I hear her aunt and uncle are very mercenary. Perhaps we can handle them with cash. I plan to provide my help with their guidance too. I've heard Satoko isn't getting along with her aunt and uncle. I never had thought that'd affect us in any way. But now, Irie has to deal with them. What if Satoshi didn't kill the aunt and Takano did? Maybe he's developed some kind of sense of responsibility or duty as her guardian. I don't really care. The more responsible he feels, the more progress our research makes. That'll be a plus for me. By the way, I saw the report on H170. Oh, compared to your success, it's nothing, but I guess it was some kind of accomplishment. It's honestly ironic. The same research center that produced the remedy to save her from derangement has developed a dangerous drug that could instantly induce it. Irie wasn't involved in the H170 research. That was my work. In fact, even if I asked him, he wouldn't have agreed to be involved. This dangerous reagent was developed during the process of uncovering the mechanisms behind how the pathogens controlling Satoko's brain could induce a derangement of paranoia in their hosts. I said that all in one breath. To put it bluntly, injecting H170 into a patient with Hinamizawa syndrome forced them to express terminal symptoms. It threw the brain into a simulated state of agitation, intentionally forcing the pathogen to grow unstable. If we continue researching this, it will be possible to drive anyone with Hinamizawa syndrome violently insane at any time. Studying the mechanism behind that will help to solve the syndrome's mysteries. So, this study on H170 will be extremely important to future research. Also, this medicine has military applications, as the client requested. At this point, there's absolutely no use for it. But once our research progresses a bit further, this H170 could be spread at the right moment to cause a certain type of reaction. Compared to a killer virus, it seems like a useless pathogen. But there's no way to detect it in a dead body, and it makes it look as though the person just went insane spontaneously. So it might have some useful applications. The Marco Polo Bridge incident threatened to end research on Hinamizawa syndrome before. A historically important incident like that couldn't have been created by a killer virus. But it's possible with Hinamizawa syndrome. The elders of the Alphabet Project, the sponsor for our research, can think whatever they want about that. I don't care how they use what I've learned. My purpose is to solve the mysteries of Hinamizawa syndrome and to make people realize how important this research is. Also, to make people acknowledge my grandfather's accomplishments. Any military applications were just byproducts of the process that I didn't care about. The clients will appreciate your accomplishment. Maybe our budget will increase for next term. Passion alone can't keep research going. We need money. We must thank the sponsor for giving us so much funding. For this much money to come from public expenses. Maybe Japan's richer than I thought. They're public expenses, but they're expenses that can't be made public. Irie has no idea what I had to go through to get that money. Anyway, our research is going extremely well. We don't know what we'll find out about Hinamizawa syndrome, but I'm sure every mystery will eventually be solved. I can hardly wait. What the syndrome indicates is that humans are simply empty containers, and what we believe to be our will is simply the action of parasites that live in our brains. If that mystery was solved, it would have a greater impact than anything else in history. That is a truth which nobody wants to believe. This is an achievement my grandfather predicted back in his time. I know now. I know the reason why my grandfather was so fascinated by his work. How can you be talking about your grandfather up in heaven when you're saying that basically it's just a disease? Alright, well, we're going to end that episode there. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're slowly getting through these fragments. Slowly. Surely. They're coming together. It's coming together. It's a little annoying, once again, that we're, like, jumping back and forth instead of keeping with, like, a timeline. But, you know, whatever. Alright, I'll see you guys later. Johnny!